Hi everyone, this is Laura Clements, owner of Tendril Herbal Apothecary and Healing Center in Sandpoint, Idaho. And welcome to this edition of Becoming the Kitchen Witch. So over the years, I've studied with lots of Indigenous women in women's health and with Aviva Ram in her Women's Functional and Integrative Medicine Training Program. I've had a clinical practice for over 20 years. And I've had some experience in helping women to empower themselves in their healing journey from the menarche stage, so young women and starting their moon time, through women going through their moon time and ending in menopause or in the crone time. So I want to empower you and empower more women out there to know that they can make medicines for themselves, that they can help heal their bodies and help do something about what's going on with themselves through items that you can buy at the grocery store or items that you can easily order online. So today we're talking about a soothing vaginal gel. So something that works for women who have irritated skin, particularly postmenopausal. So whether you're going through menopause or you're at the end of menopause and your skin is now a little dry, a little cracked, you could even have vaginal atrophy, you could have some postmenopausal vaginal drying, have painful intercourse. This can be a problem. Your quality of life goes down quite a bit around this. And so what to do to help? There's a number of different things. But what I find in my practice and what really good feedback I've gotten from some of my clients is using this vaginal gel that we came up with. So the ingredients are aloe vera gel, food grade aloe vera gel. We're using a rose hydrosol, so a true hydrosol, not just a rose water. We want the actual flower water from the plant itself. We don't want a water that's been mixed with a little bit of rose essential oil or a rose fragrance. So you want to make sure that your hydrosol is a true hydrosol water from the rose plant itself. We're going to use a calendula CO2, and it's a CO2 extraction of really the calendula resin. So we'll be using a beautiful orange calendula resin. And you can order this online from Eden Botanicals and other essential oil places do have it. We're going to be using vitamin E oil as well. Vitamin E is known to also help with vaginal atrophy and vaginal dryness, really soothing that tissue and bringing back elasticity to the tissue. So it's very beneficial. But because vitamin E oil is sticky in itself, you never want to use it alone. Because if your tissue is already dry, irritated, can rip easy, you don't want to add a thick oil to it that is maybe a little sticky, even pre being with your partner. So whatever that looks like, that could really hurt. So always mixing the vitamin E oil with another oil, and that'll be very beneficial. So we're using vitamin E, and then we're also using rosehip seed oil. Vitamin E and rosehip, super high antioxidant. Vitamin E and rosehip together, very soothing. Rosehip itself is also used vaginally, very soothing to postmenopausal women and vaginal tissue. So what we want to do first is you always want to make sure when you're doing your recipe, you want to write it all down. So you have this video, and we're going to be doing this here, but you want to make sure that you write all the ingredients down that we're using. Keep it somewhere safe. Keep your recipes in your special recipe bin or box. So we'll be using 1 tablespoon of rose hydrosol, 2 dropperfuls of the vitamin E oil, 1/8 of a teaspoon of the calendula resin or the calendula CO2, and 1 teaspoon of the rosehip seed oil, and then 7 ounces of the aloe vera, so the aloe vera gel. So what we want to do is we want to mix our resins and our oils first. And altogether, we're making 8 ounces really by volume with everything that we put together. So we're using our measuring spoons here, and we're going to be taking out 1/8 of a teaspoon of the calendula CO2. And I like to use a toothpick actually to get the resin out because it is so thick. You can use your finger, but it's kind of hard to get it all out. And then if you do use your finger, you're actually going to stain it with the calendula. But you don't have to really worry about it staining your skin because it's going to be in a mix. The calendula, again, is anti-inflammatory. It's so soothing. It's what's called a vulnerary. It's very healing to the skin. Calendula actually helps to hold the integrity of the skin cell while you're growing new skin. That's why it's in so many salves. Okay. And so now we're going to add 2 dropperfuls of our vitamin E oil, which is about 40 drops. What that means for us is we want to get about 100 IUs per 10 mils, which is the dose. My 1 dropper was only a halfie per dose, because that's kind of based on what the Iranian Journal of Nursing and Midwifery, they did a study around this for vitamin E and the health of the vagina or the vaginal canal or vaginal tissue postmenopausal. And about 100 IUs, they did suppositories, vitamin E suppositories, with about 100 IUs per dosage. So that is what we're going for here. So we're using 2 dropperfuls because that is how much around, it's going to be about 90 to 95 IUs per 10 mils. So we'll go over dosage and what we're going to use to administer the gel in a little bit. So we have our calendula and our vitamin E, and now we're going to do 1 teaspoon of the rosehip seed oil. Okay, there we go. Okay. So now I'm going to mix it all together. Okay, and that was pretty easy. And we wanted to mix our resin with our oils first, so it really does solidify and create this nice golden oil that we'll be adding the gel to. If we just added our calendula CO2 to the gel, then it wouldn't completely mix totally, and we want that. So then we're going to add our gel. So I'm adding 7 ounces, so almost a full cup, because we are going to also be adding our hydrosol, so a tablespoon of the hydrosol. So by volume, all of this will be about 8 ounces. And get it all in there. Okay, so now I'm going to mix that in. now you can see it's a beautiful sunshine color. And we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of rose hydrosol to this. We are not going to add any essential oil. I do find that essential oil vaginally can be a little too harsh. I know when it comes to using, like trying to combat candida, there's a lot of suppositories out there with tea tree oil and things like that to help kill it. But I really want to come from a place of balance before that. So this gel can be a base to add either a tablespoon to your 10 mils of yogurt, plain yogurt without sugar, to add those nice probiotics, and internally using those if you do have candida, or a powdered probiotic based on a women's floral formula. So with using probiotics, of course, internally you'd like to take a woman's formula for the woman's flora, and also that's what you should be using internally as well. So opening up one of those capsules, because sometimes those powders that we get also have a little bit of sugar in them, so they taste better when we take them, but we don't want to add any sugar vaginally if we're fighting candida. But this is a really wonderful base that you can use. And with our hydrosol, we can make sure that we're bringing a balanced pH back to the vagina. So the hydrosol pH is between 4.1 and 4.4, and the vaginal pH is between 3.5 and 5. So you can see how the hydrosol helps to create a nice balance in the pH, and which makes the vagina a little bit acidic. So to give you a little reference, our gut, our stomach, our HCl is actually between 1.3 and 3.5 pH. So if the vagina can be almost as acidic as the stomach acid, I'll be very careful of what I put in that vagina. Okay, so just saying, it's pretty acidic. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep the mucus like that to help combat candida, vaginosis, all kinds of other things. So let's give it a mix. And it smells wonderful. Your rose hydrosol, especially if you get it from a good source and done nicely, it smells so good. So how do we administer this? There's several ways that you can do it, but one way that I like to do is with a syringe, and one that you can tell how many mils that you're getting. So here's a small one. This is a 6 mil. And if you were to use this for someone who is just a smaller person, then you would use the 6 mil and coat this with oil. So you could use a little bit of olive oil. You could use jojoba oil, which is closest to the skin's natural sebum. So jojoba oil is also like a liquid wax, but it's almost the same as our own skin coating. And so when we're dry, jojoba oil is one of the most beautiful oils that we can use to really help bring balance and a protective layer to our skin that will actually mix with our skin and not just sit on top. Sometimes it's good to have things sit on top, but vaginally as well, we want things to slide in very nicely and not hurt. So we want to make sure that we coat this with oil and then insert. For a woman who has had children and are a little bit larger of a person, a little more experienced, you might want to use one that has 10 mils. So 10 mils is actually what I use. So that's the measurement here that we're basing the 90 IUs or the 100 IUs of vitamin E per dose. And so you would want to just, again, fill this. So it's super easy to fill. So I have it 10. And in doing that, depending on how you store it, I obviously have a little bit around, so it'll go in just nicely like this. Or you can then get some oil, coat it, and add more lubrication if you need that too. And then you just insert it and press in. And you want to make sure that you are lying down when you do this. You could put a pillow under your bottom or under your knees, and you want to spread your knees open and make sure that you insert this and then go to bed if you really want it to kind of penetrate and get it to really sit in there overnight for a while. But it will drip out, so I would advise that you use a pad, a cloth pad or a panty liner during the night so you don't get it all over your bed. And then you want to wash this with soap and water afterward, and if you like, you can sterilize this with a little bit of alcohol, and of course let it fully dry before you use it again. So that is our vaginal gel. I like to store mine in these little bottles here. So you can see mine is in, this is a 4-ounce medicine bottle, and we have these little lids for them. And so I just cover these, and then we'll label them and put them in the refrigerator. So it's so important to label. So not only do you want to put in all your ingredients, how much you put in, how much it weighs itself, the date that you made it, and you want to make sure that you always have a wonderful name for your product. So this could be Soothing V Gel that you have, but you want to make sure to label, because you wouldn't want to see anyone putting this on toast in the morning. So I hope you enjoyed this how-to video, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Becoming the Kitchen Witch.